Welcome to What's Happening Now, the world's foremost, most trusted, and most comprehensive source of your daily dosage of vitamin news. We've got all the B News vitamins that you need, from climate change to World War III, and even an additive of something actually relevant. Grab your shaker cup and a bottle of milk, because we're about to give you the serving of news that you need to take your cracked out, over-caffeinated, sleep-deprived, diabetes-suffering mind into the next century of global awareness. Today you'll pop the pill of the War of the Roses, a delicious blend of murder and betrayal. Have a guzzle of the protein powder that is feudalism, and ingest some pills full of ground-up princes in the tower. Plus, a full teaspoon of Byzantium collapse. So get a full glass of water ready, because we're going on a cleanse. Today on What's Happening Now. How do you do, folks? Did you like that little intro there? We made it especially for you. We also crafted, just oh so special for you, this moment of clarity. Sometimes in life we get carried away with things. We might lose focus on our morality as we get bent out of shape, honing in on family and personal grudge matches. It's easy to forget that we all have a duty to behave in a good manner. Sometimes our duty might come into conflict, and suddenly we find ourselves on one side of a war, siding with our friends and family. But never forget, there are greater forces at play that we always have to adhere to. Yes, this can put you at a great risk, and be otherwise difficult to do at times, but just remember that for all of our good, you had best be good. This has been your moment of clarity. Well, here we are back to our fast break bulletin for today. I'm readying the troops so that we can give you some good news. Here with me to help direct the forces of information is the intrepid captain of media, the general of misinformation, Jack.
It's good to be back, Josh. Yeah, it's been a while since I was last on.
Indeed.
Indeed you do.
Indeedly 3.
Good one.
Good 2.
Stop.
Hammer time.
Good one.
Anyway, I'm glad you can make it. I think we have a really great show lined up for today, and there's no one else who would sit here and do it with me than you. Plus, I only know like 4 people, so it was slim pickings for a co-host anyways.
Aw, so sweet.
Alright, so let's go ahead and jump right in and get the ball rolling. Jack, what exactly is the War of the Roses?
Well, Josh, I'm glad you asked. The War of the Roses was a conflict that started in the early 90s between Axl Rose and Slash of the band Guns N' Roses. The conflict culminated in the departure of Slash from the band in October of 1996.
No, I mean the real War of the Roses, you stupid fuck.
Oh, right. Well, that was a series of conflicts that took place in medieval England between 1455 and 1487. The conflict was a dispute over rulership of the realm between the House of Lancaster and the House of York, 2 factions within the broader House of Plantagenet.
Cool. Glad we could get done with that so quickly. There's nothing else to know about it, is there?
Well, I mean, it's not that simple. I mean, you see, events, it's a really pivotal point in history of Western civilization, and so it marks a period of turmoil in Britain that will lead to many of the modern political schemes that we see today.
When is today exactly, Jack?
No comment.
Okay, so it's a bit in time about the change-up of the British monarchy. But who cares? What's important about it?
Well, it was a particularly bloody event which saw the throne change hands some 7 times. Ultimately, the conflict brought down the Plantagenet dynasty and saw the loss of much of the British territory in France.
Okay, so it shaped the political structures quite a bit. I'm starting to see.
Yeah, and, it would directly lead to the Tudor period of England, which of course played into the Reformation and resulted in splits in the church, which would create a tradition and reason for Puritans and other British religious groups to leave England for America.
Okay, now it makes sense. The story of the world really doesn't matter until you mention how it helped to craft America.
Yepers.
Okay, so what's really so bad about it then?
Well, Josh, it was full of lots of bloody battles, lots of murder, and the incident with the princes in the tower.
Hold up a second. Princes in the tower? I thought he died.
Shut up, Josh. The Princes in the Tower is this event that took place toward the end of the War of the Roses. It's highly controversial.
Well, yeah, everything we talk about on this show is highly controversial. What's so special about this?
Well, to secure his claim on the throne, Richard III had the sons of his brother locked up in the Tower of London. The 2 eventually disappeared and no one heard from them again.
He murdered them? Why didn't anyone stop him?
Well, the princes typically stayed in the Tower of London prior to his coronation, so there was little suspicious about that in the first place. It's also not completely clear he killed them, as their bodies were never found.
Seriously?
I mean, he killed them with 90% probability.
90%?
Yeah, okay, 95%.
That's better.
Still, there are some sources who say that at least one of the brothers survived. A pretender to the throne appeared a few years later to challenge Henry VII, who claimed to be one of them.
What the hell is a pretender to the throne?
I'm glad you asked. A pretender to the throne is one of the people in line for succession in a feudalistic monarchy.
Good transition, Jack. So what is feudalism?
Well, that's easy, Josh. You see, feudalism is the dominant social system in medieval Europe, in which the nobility held lands from the crown in exchange for military service, and vassals were in turn tenants of the nobles, while the peasants, villeins or serfs, were obliged to live on the lord's land and give him homage, labor, and a share of the produce, ostensibly in exchange for the lord's military protection.
Did you just read the Google's definition of that?
Do you make that same basic joke every week? Yes, that is a straight copy and paste from Google.
It's either Google or Wikipedia, right?
Well, there's only two sources.
All right. So, Jack, tell me, if we were living in a feudalistic society, where would you fall on the totem pole?
I mean, I'd be a vassal.
Why?
I don't know. Sounds cool, I guess.
Well, I've always thought that you were a big vassal.
Good one.
Thank you. Isn't there an overwhelmingly high chance, though, that you'd end up being a peasant?
Nah, I make my own rules.
Well, at any rate, it sounds like a pretty crappy system. Why don't they just elect a president?
They can't all have a perfect political system, Josh.
Yeah, I guess not.
Okay, so that wraps it up unless you had something to touch over.
I did, as a matter of fact. I wanted to discuss the Tao, but given that it's the 15th century and that doesn't exist yet, let's talk about the collapse of the Byzantium Empire.
Okay, what about it?
Well, it happened around that time. The end.
Insightful.
Delightful.
Spiteful.
That doesn't really make any sense.
Doesn't have to.
How can it be? All right. Speaking of not making sense, how's that for a good transition? It's time for our panel of experts to arrive. So if that's something you're interested in, obviously you are because you're still listening, please stay tuned after the break. Welcome to this week's Antichrist. I'm your host, the always amiable R.F. Kenny. It's time to reveal who the Antichrist, the bringer of apocalypse born of Satan himself, is this week. Let's spin the wheel, folks. Oh boy, the wheel is hotter than ever. The wheel has spoken! Folks, the Antichrist this week is... Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is the Antichrist this week and will most certainly orchestrate the end of days. Join us next time as we reveal the definitive true blue beast of revelation on this week's Antichrist.
Jameson's Mariachi Supply Shop. This is a store. It's where you go to buy, things you'll need for your mariachi troupe. Those black jackets with frills on the shoulders, trumpets, big black sombreros. You can even buy a triangle, the musical instrument, not the concept from geometry. Sorry, folks, but we don't sell maracas. I refuse to sell maracas. Jameson's Mariachi Supply Shop. Take the Clarendon Gardens exit off Highway 18. Located in between Saks Fifth Avenue and Le Petit Chateau 5-star French cuisine.
And we're back. I didn't think we'd make it back, but I am glad that we did. Get ready, folks. It's time for Shots Fired. Today, our illustrious shots are fired over the War of the Roses, and we'll save some artillery for those pesky princes in the tower. We're also going to let history run its course and take aim at feudalism and that tired old Byzantium Empire. Now let's introduce our panel. You know her as the host of Town Crier Weekly and winner of the Summer Heights Vanity Bikini Contest, Miss Margaret Buckworth. Always good to be here with these handsome men.
Our second panelist is the famed chancellor of the prestigious Buckworth University and Miss Margaret's cousin, uncle, stepbrother, brother, nephew, Peter Buckworth II. Mayo Tom counting the bananas, singing a song one day all night long.
Our third panelist is none other than world-famous DJ, blacksmith to several noble families, and a flat-earther conspiracy theory nutjob, Sir Kevin Tolmore. The sun is a sciencey construct of the government to control our sleep schedules.
And lastly, we have Sir Kevin's father brother, three-time winner of the Abernathy County Renaissance Fair, Henry VIII in his later stages of life look-alike contest, Sir Drake Dunforth. Thanks for having me here, fair friends of the forest, and I especially extol the virtues of Miss Buckworth for gracing us with her boundless beauty.
Well, aren't you a charmer, Drake? All right, it's nice to have all of you here. Let's go ahead and get started. Margaret Buckworth, ladies first, take a shot at the War of the Roses. I'm not entirely sure what this War of the Roses was exactly. Honestly, it sounds like a photo shoot I did for Eenie Weenie Teen Bikini where I laid in a bed of roses seductively.
Fair maiden, I have that issue and can envision those images of you quite clearly in my mind's eye. Never have I laid sight upon such immaculate flesh. Oh, to behold you in such perfect light as now, I could perish 1,000 times more.
Dear God, man. I know you weigh 350 pounds, but you do realize that attractive women like Margaret are a cheap trick by the government to keep us distracted from the reptilian plot, right?
Good sir, though once I would have called you friend, you slight me with such boorish aspersions, cast against the fair maiden Margaret. Hey-o, boys and daughters of the sun, tain't no need for this angry. We getting too far away from the subject, man.
Thanks, Peter. I knew I could count on your ability to think for yourself. The real subject of the day is the lies that NASA has been shoving down our throats concerning the nature of our planet.
Good boy. Our subject to discussing is the War of the Roses, man. As Chancellor Mumbai No. 1 at Buckworth University, I happen to be a bangwag tight source on this subject.
So you did see my photo shoot?
Nah, Margaret, I was talking about the real War of Woman. Though I gotta say I got that magazine somewhere on the floor of my floaty boaty. Sir Peter Buckworth, vile man, that her beauty should merely grace the floor of your boat and not the halls of your heart, or at least lay in your secret box in the basement.
Guys, this is insanity. We're supposed to be talking about the political strife in England during the Middle Ages that lasted from King Henry VI's reign and ended with the rise of the Tudor dynasty.
Was true thoughts on me, Hartman. Thanks, Kevin, for bringing us to focus.
Supposed being the key word here. NASA always wants us thinking about bullshit that they probably made up from history so that we're blinded to the truth. Now, I'm not saying for 100% surety that the Earth is flat, but come on, how can we know it's round? Have you ever seen the entire planet at once? Look, I know I'm really hot, and I won't pretend I don't like being showered with compliments and stares from men, but I really don't think the Earth is flat, Kevin. That would go against hundreds of years of scientific research and observation. Call me skeptical, but I only believe in what I can see with my own two eyes. Anyone else's sense experience is null and void. You understand? I understand that we probably should just leave this War of the Roses business alone. Besides, it's really hard to keep the focus on me with this subject. So let's move on to feudalism. Guys, what position on the social ladder do you think I'd take in a feudalistic society?
Milady, could I be but your humblest servant, yet strongest champion? I would bask in the warm light of your tender mercy should we find ourselves in the Middle Ages.
So she'd clearly be well above you, Drake.
Let me say this quite clear, man. Margaret, you will be the wife of some knight, leaving alone in the castle yearning for that rude boy husband of yours who's off chasing pretty young wenches at the tavern. How dare you raise such ire against the fair maid? Drake, man, you'd be some bitchy serf boy toiling in the field for Miss Margaret's love, only to die a poor fat man who will never know the love of any woman. Joke's on you, Peter. I always win the hearts of fair maidens at the Renaissance fairs.
Yeah, that's because they're fatter than you, Drake, and I imagine all the fluoride in the water is controlling their minds.
Kevin, man, you the local crazy man who would need to be in mental institution, except they don't have the hose in the Middle Ages.
At least I'd be living my life my own way, man. I won't let any government stooge tell me how to be. Well, that was a very frank appraisal of all of us, Peter. And who would you be in a feudalistic society?
I'd be the king, man. I'd be telling me bananas and drinking the spicy rum, watching all them rude boys and girls toiling away at pointless lives.
Peter, when you were talking about how I'd be a knight's wife living in some posh castle with lots of servants and fancy luxuries, I really wish you would have spent a bit more time describing just how beautiful I am. Like, there's no way some knight would marry an Uggo.
Lady, that's your concern? You'd be okay with your husband out in the world chasing other maidens?
Do I have a fancy place to live? Nice clothes? Am I the best-looking woman in Christendom?
Why, of course, my lady, you would be the fairest castle dweller on the whole of planet Earth.
A flat planet Earth, I might add. Look, life boils down to two things: looking good and being revered by others for it. I'd be super nice to my servants as long as they compliment me day in and day out on my unmatched beauty. Guys, let's focus our attention on another lie from the government. Prince didn't die. Prince is in the tower, man. The government doesn't want you to know this because Prince has the cure for AIDS.
Whoa, man. The same joke twice in the same episode. No, no, no. The singer-songwriter and brilliant musician Prince did indeed die, man. He had a rude boy disease.
Look, I heard people talking about princes in the tower, so I drew the necessary conclusion from that. Prince is alive and well. Don't believe what the media shoves down our throats.
Thou dunce-capped court fool. The princes in the tower refer to Richard III supposedly holding his nephews in the Tower of London, then murdering them so that he could ascend to the throne of England.
So, this is a conspiracy by the British government?
No, there's no conspiracy.
Well, except by Richard III.
Well, I guess this kind of is a conspiracy after all.
See, fat boy? You follow my ideals, and I can free your mind. Okay, I'm sorry, but what does any of this have to do with my good looks? Well, nothing, I guess. But why the fuck should we talk about that? Ah, you're a jerk, Kevin, and I was gonna let you send me money on PayPal to go shopping with.
Yo, friends, let's keep back on the subject then. The princes in the tower, they were right duped by their uncle, yeah? I think Richard III was innocent on no grounds other than he was king of England, which was the highest authority in the land, and I romanticize history way too much.
I think we got that vibe already, man. Just like I got a vibe just now that Richard III was the first reptilian king of England. Oh my god. I totally get reptile skin when I wake before performing my morning cream ritual.
Of what foul creed do you speak? Milady, are you saying you perform coitus with a man in the mornings? Stay fast, my tender spirit, for I am truly saddened by this news.
Jesus, man, you realize you never had a chance with this girl? She's a fucking model, and you go to Renaissance fairs and weigh over 300 pounds. I blindly follow every conspiracy on Earth without any evidence, and even I can see how pathetic this is.
Oh, quiet, ingrate. Our fair maiden has not turned me down, so I must have a chance.
Drake, I was talking about actual creams, like for beauty and stuff. And keep trying, baby. You never know.
Milady, your words have brought me back from Hades' Edge. My soul is reinvigorated. Jim, man, you're a sorry sack of rude boy.
Okay, guys, last topic. How can we make the collapse of the Byzantium Empire all about me?
Well, according to my advanced knowledge of Middle Age history, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople, fell in 1453, signaling the end of the Byzantine Empire, though for hundreds of years before that it was already a failing system.
Drake, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but all that history stuff does not center on me. Look, I'll post more sexy pics to my Instagram if you talk about me.
Of course, fair Haman. Margaret, you are even more beautiful than you are kind, and your kindness is limitless.
Drake, you are too sweet. You should totally like all my pics on Instagram and send money to my Patreon.
This is just sad, man. Don't be so easily manipulated by her. She won't ever date you or a nut and tug, man. There's always a chance. A valiant knight such as myself must ever fight for the honor of the fair milady.
Sure, Drake. You have about as much chance with her as NASA finally admitting that they faked the moon landing.
I give up, man. Time to go back to me floaty boats and sing a sweet, ripe tune. So you really live on a boat, Peter? Aren't you the chancellor of a prestigious university or something? Who say I can't do both, man?
Well, friends, it looks like we're all out of time. Let's roll out the big guns with some parting shots. Margaret Buckworth, show us what you got. Like my Instagram at Margareta Drunk LOL 90210.
Peter Buckworth, show us your firing power. This was a complete waste of time, man. I could have been calling me bananas.
Sir Kevin Tolmore, unleash the beast. The government has been in contact with various alien species for 70 years now.
Yet you don't think we actually landed on the moon? Drake Danforth, hit me with your best shot. Margaret, I shall make you the patron saint of this year's Renaissance Festival, and I will write you many poems comparing you to the valiant Joan of Arc.
Yikes. That was a particularly painful segment, Jack.
You said it. Well, that's all the time we have for this round of Shots Fired. Up next, we sit down with the bad boy of the war himself, Richard III. Stay tuned, everybody.
Author Ashton Poitier has traveled the earth, charming the sensibilities of royalty and celebrities alike. Now, Ashton Poitier will be gracing Finn's Fish Market and Maritime Bookstore with a reading of his new book, Pomp and a Whisk of Brandy. Here is an excerpt read by the master woodsmith himself.
A lad had cheated, I whored around a bit, all in the name of getting skunk fucking drunk. My pearly whites turned fucking shit brown, real brown. I mean, pick a synonym for brown. That's them, cinnamon. There, that'll fucking do. Anywho, I got cinnamon-colored teeth now. Lots of cavities, I'm sure. And all it took was a night in the fucking drunk tank to make me realize the value of, literally and without hyperbole, being shit-faced at every possible moment of every god fucking damn day.
Reserve your seat today.
And we're back, which is why you can hear me talking instead of an ad. And I absolutely sound nothing like anyone in one of those ads, so I suppose you didn't need that reminder, but it was there anyway. And also here anyway, I have my next guest. He's the last Plantagenet monarch of England and the bad boy of the War of the Roses. Please welcome King Richard III.
Hey everybody, love to see you all. Jack, you look fabulous.
Thanks, Richard. It's nice to meet you.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so let's just get right down to this, shall we?
Yeah, okay, take a look. I have a slightly curved spine, but I'm hardly a monstrous hunchback. My arm is so not withered either.
Sounds like you've got a bit of chip on your shoulders there.
Ooh, where do you see that?
Well, I just meant that no one in the studio thought you looked particularly deformed.
Oh, phew. Well, apparently history remembers me that way. Probably just Tudor propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, you're only slightly deformed, but probably not even noticeable given when and where you're from.
Exactly. I mean, when you're marrying your cousins all the time, what do you expect is going to happen?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It is, man. Still, I mean, my cousin was a good lay.
You slept with your cousin?
Nah, man, that's just a joke.
Oh, I see. I guess that's funny.
Yeah, she was at least my third cousin, so it's not weird or anything.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we had the Roosevelts and all.
You slept with the Roosevelts?
No, I mean America.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Okay. Man, to be honest here, you have such a bad reputation, but you seem like a pretty laid-back guy.
Yeah, I think I've gotten a bad rep for all the pranks I've played over the years.
Oh, what sort of pranks have you played?
Oh, well, this one time my brother Ed was headed out for a hot date with our fourth cousin, who of course would later be my wife. So I filled his shoes with horse shit right before she got there. He threw them on and smelled like shit the rest of the night. It was pretty funny.
I guess that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I'm always playing pranks like that.
Well, cool. Well, yeah, I'm a kidder myself, so, sounds like we have something in common. I kind of thought you would be a lot different, though.
Nah, man, I try not to take things too seriously.
Okay, so let's get back to some of these questions then. So you're a very controversial British monarch, particularly the events surrounding your ascension to the throne and what you reportedly did to your nephews. I'm going to be blunt here and just ask, did you have them murdered?
Whoa, what?
It's a well-suspected and widely held that you had your nephews murdered to secure your position on the throne. Did you?
No, that's awful. Who would do such a thing?
Well, they disappeared and were never heard from again under your watch, an act which solidified your position in power.
No way. They were totally heard from again.
They were not, dude.
God damn it. Man, I thought I set that up perfectly. You're telling me those idiots fucked it up?
What are you talking about?
Well, I had my nephews in the tower where they were awaiting their coronation and whatnot. We all agreed that Ed Jr. was just too young to take the throne, so we planned a prank.
A prank?
Yeah, man, we thought it would be hilarious if everyone thought they were dead for like 3 or 4 years until like Ed Jr. was of age to rule. We figured it would be really funny if everyone thought I was king, too. And then, on his 16th birthday, I would hold a big feast and announce I was stepping down, and boom, little Eddie would come bursting out of a cake and surprise everyone. It would have been hilarious, man.
Yeah, that never happened. It's clear you murdered them, covered up their murder, or you had them murdered or something like that.
No way. I had this prank set up, man. I took Ed down to the cellar and had him get inside the cake myself. I bet that idiot's still down there.
You put him in a cake to wait for 4 years? No food or water?
No, I simply showed him where it was and helped him hop inside. He was supposed to hang out in the crypts below the castle for a few years. We had a cool basement set up for him. He's probably still down there.
Why the hell would he just stay down there?
Well, we had a bathroom set up for him, and a puppet theater, and a pool table, and some chess sets and stuff. It was a pretty sweet bachelor pad, all things considered.
Okay, so you're saying that you set up an elaborate prank with your nephew, and he's just been hanging out in the basement of the castle and decided not to show himself because you gave him a pretty sweet basement to live in.
Well, yeah, I mean, the lifespan of a king in those days was like 4 years, so I think I did him a favor.
Well, I mean, I guess that's true. Okay, so that's Edward V, but what about his brother?
Little Richie? Oh, he and I cooked up another good prank.
Another prank, you say?
Yeah, Richie and I thought it would be funny if he pretended to run away from home, and then we could get everyone to go around looking for him. We would then drop a bunch of clues and send people on a wild goose chase until they got to Sandal Castle, where they would find a buried chest that said, "I never left the castle tower, suckers."
That's insane. No one ever bothered even looking for him.
What? No way. Before I stopped in here, I was just on my way to Bosworth Field to leave the first clue in the scavenger hunt.
You died at Bosworth Field.
Son of a bitch. Well, you're telling me they never found him? Why didn't they follow the clues?
There were no clues. You clearly murdered him.
No, that is not fair. I stuffed the clues into my pocket as I headed to Bosworth. I'm sure they would have found them on me when preparing me for burial in the York Minster.
You weren't buried in the York Minster.
Well, wherever they had my state funeral then.
You didn't have one. You were just placed in a plot in a nearby church. Your body was lost for like 400 years and then found in some gas station parking lot or something.
God damn it. You know, stuff like this was always happening with the pranks I pulled. Something would go wrong and everything would blow up in my face. Like that thing with Unky Warwick.
What thing with Warwick?
Oh, well, Warwick was going to marry my brother to his daughter and such. Originally, my bro and I were just going to marry our hot-ass cousins, but we figured we could fuck with Warwick first. So, I convinced my brother Ed to go along with my plan, and we hired an actress to pretend to be his wife. Well, that shit backfired. Warwick thought it was all real and raised an army in rebellion before we could even let him in on the prank.
This is ridiculous. None of this is believable, Richard.
Come on, man, I'm telling the truth. Look, I was a heroic and noble general, well-respected and famously loyal to my family. You're telling me that all of that reputation and character was just tossed out the window in a few months' span? A lifetime of noble living just flushed down the crapper in a series of completely out-of-character moves designed to usurp the throne?
Well, I mean, I guess when you put it that way, it does sound like all these stories about you aren't completely true. Maybe your history has misjudged you, Richard.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I totally murdered those boys.
God damn it, Richard, you're a monster.
Now that was a joke. All that other stuff I said was true.
Okay, well, I guess thanks for stopping by. Enjoy your death.
Thanks for having me, man.
We'll be right back. When the world is tough and cruel, he is there. When the chips are down and your back is against the ropes, he is there. When life is handing you some lemons, he drinks the lemonade. When you need someone to help you make sense of this crazy world, he is there. When you need someone to be good at any of these things. No, he's not the right guy for that job, but, he's kind of helping me out. He is Newzo. His job is telling you what's going on, and he is a clown. The all-new Newzo the Clown Show, coming soon. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's now time for our final thoughts. It is necessary in life to face hard times and tough choices. These choices and times can be overcome only through the test of will and character that we have built up during other hard times and tests of will and character. So it's important to have people to rely upon to help us through it all. You might find yourself in a war with family members, unable to set aside personal differences and petty squabbling to see the good in mankind, and this in turn might cause you to ignore your duty to members of your family, imprisoned by the boundaries you set for them. When these things occur, it's critical that you remember to order yourself properly so that you can move forward from ruin and get back to greatness. This has been our final thoughts.
Pure poetry, Jack. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I really am the best.
Well, the writer is in any case.
Yeah.
So, was I lead writer on this one, or was it you?
This is all improv.
Oh, yeah, improv. Well, that's it for this episode of our show, folks. Tune in tomorrow when we interview Cuba Gooding Jr. and John Wilkes Booth in our Actors Edition of What's Happening Now.